Hi, folks. It's Mark Merrill with Firm, the Fact Files. Are labor unions fair? About to find out. Labor unions in the United States, ladies and gentlemen, do we believe that they're financially fair to the common blue-collar workers anymore? Which unions are or have been corrupted and mob-controlled for decades? Also, are unions like the Maine AFL-CIO, like you see right here, up to right now in 2025 America, are they really in step with working families? And like it says right below this headline, folks, from a local newspaper, are they committed to working families as well, and their rights and freedoms and privileges for economic stability and continued growth and prosperity? Are they? Well, according to the website MaineAFL-CIO.org, ladies and gentlemen, we have a big gap and division between the so-called working class people in our state, among others. And here's the facts from the Maine AFL-CIO website. It's not very pretty, folks, but mostly this organization is crawling into our Maine colleges and brainwashing our students. Well, that's great, isn't it? That's all we need. So as we start, folks, going to the Maine AFL-CIO.org/news, UAW, or United Auto Workers president, recently gave a keynote speech to the Maine AFL-CIO convention back on October 14th. Also, Machinist Local S6 Veterans Committee helps veterans in needs. Same date. And also, the AFL-CIO demands Trump end the shutdown. President Trump. Fix health care crisis and put working people first. Now, isn't that nice? When it's all the Democrats' fault. I'm not going to go any further than that, folks. I'm just the messenger. Union Pathways connects job seekers to training in union careers. Well, that's also nice, too. But here's a couple of articles under the Maine AFL-CIO website that should make you shiver, folks. Staff at the Sun Journal, once a respected Lewiston Sun Journal in the state of Maine, the Sun Journal and the Times Record and other news outlets in Maine vote to join the News Guild of Maine. Now, we'll tell you a little bit more about the News Guild of Maine here in a couple of minutes. But the headline says nearly 50 Maine trusts for local news workers won their election Monday to form a union with the News Guild of Maine Local 31128 of the News Guild Communications Workers of America. They won a landslide victory of 34-1 out of 49 eligible votes. Plus one more before we move along on this topic of our labor unions fair. Thomas College, right in our own backyard of Waterville, folks. Thomas College faculty voted to unionize with the Maine Education Association. A majority of faculty at Thomas voted to unionize with the MEA, marking a significant step forward in their efforts to strengthen faculty voice and collaboration. What does that mean? What they say in the article under the Maine AFL-CIO, folks, it's a significant step forward, they say, that faculty joined nearly 1,000 unionized faculty members across the University of Maine system and the Maine Community College system. This union effort began when faculty reached out to the MEA to explore how collective action could help address workplace concerns and strengthen their voice on campus. Faculty members formed an organizing committee, built support among colleagues, and ultimately filed for a union election after demonstrating strong majority backing. The MEA represents nearly 24,000 educators across the state, including close to 2,000 working in higher education. But with the addition of Thomas, MEA says it will continue to expand its support for educators committed to excellence, here it comes, equity, and shared governance and diversity in Maine's colleges and universities. Yike. Jesse Hargrove, president of the Maine Education Association, said, quote, across Maine, MEA members are united in the fight for fair working conditions, professional respect, and resources needed to support every student's success. He says they're proud to welcome Thomas College into the growing movement. Well, folks, now it's time to get real about this one right here, and we'll change things up a little bit. About the News Guild of Maine. Isn't that nice? I'll tell you a little bit more about these people. So to get a little bit more into site things you can see here, folks, we've got a interesting statement we've got here before you. We will read it right off here. It seems that the Maine chapter, I should say, of the News Guild made a statement recently within the last few days. Actually, no, let's correct that. This statement was made in November of 2022 about Portland's return to Office of Committee update. The Guild has had an active role on Portland's return to a office committee. Shout out to the dedicated representatives of Alan Connell, Ted Duguay, and now Amesel Ponte. At the last week of October 2022, they gathered anonymous feedback from most recent surveys and presented it to this committee. Now, according to the Guild on this post, based on the feedback, the Guild recommended that employees be required to work no more than 1 day a week in the office. Now, it doesn't say 1 day per week. It says 1 day in the office. Does that mean for a full month? Or is that just they come in 1 day a week? God. Talk about lazy. We, meaning the Guild, also advocated for greater flexibility for employees and individualized exceptions for those who feel unsafe or truly unproductive in the office. Well, gee, I wonder. That sounds an awful lot to me, folks, like DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion again. Oh, the headaches. The headaches are coming back. You can visit the Guild's website, and we'll make sure you have it as well, folks, once we're done the podcast here, to find materials from the presentation, a collection of DE-identified quotes. Oh, my gosh. I say it, and it turns up. De-identified quotes, or DEI-identified quotes from the survey, and a memo that outlines their priorities and their recommendations to the management. Those documents are available as well on the site, Maine chapter of the News Guild. So, to move on, ladies and gentlemen, Maine citizens need to really take a good hard look at what's going on in our society with the unions that have all of a sudden decided that they're going to take over, especially if you're a member, one of them. However, we want to point this one out as well, which was a post that came across recently. Make sure we have everything in order here for you folks. There we go. And give it a little bit of a straightening out there. You may recognize the police officer here. He's Brandon Tatum. Has a podcast now. He's a retired police officer from New York City. That's what he looked like when he was in service to New York City back in the day. The other gentleman is just a depiction of a union boss. What's this all about? About to tell you. So, like it says here, folks, are you for the blue? Or not? Meaning the police officers. They wear the badge, like it says. Not this old guy, this old union boss. It's a depiction. We don't know the gentleman. He's an actor posing for the picture. We'll say one little side note and a disclaimer, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. I'd never been a member of a union until I worked for the State Department of Labor quite a few years back. I had no problems with them until an incident came up, which I'm not allowed to discuss and will not. It's not relevant to my success in my life in the media or otherwise. Didn't do me much of any good. Actually tried to ruin me financially. We move on. So with this one right here, folks, we've got some information from a post, which is where this right here is from, on Facebook, of all places. I know, that's all we need, right? And what it says, down below it, is like you see before you again. Who do you stand with? The bosses who fund the protest against cops? We've got a lot of people who chimed in on this, folks, on this post from Facebook just about a month and a half ago, around the middle of August. The post is also from Americans for Fair Treatment. We can give you that information for a link to that site as well, because a small statement above the poster here of Officer Tatum and the union boss says many law enforcement unions were funding radical groups and political agendas that undermine the badge. Join the movement to take back control. Americans for Fair Treatment. This Air Force veteran, meaning myself, posted stands with the blue, folks. Darn right. Several people posted these feelings, these views. Back the blue, thank you. 2 more in a row said, I stand with the blue. Back the blue. We stand with the blue. I absolutely back the badge. I stand with the blue. Except the left blue. And one more says, I stand with the blue. No questions. So with that one, folks, we're going to go back a little bit further and carry on to what we were talking about after the Maine AFL-CIO had their little spew about Thomas College. The faculty had taken a powerful step forward, they say, ensuring voices are respected in shaping the future of their institution. But despite the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that says here the MEA represents 24,000 educators statewide, including 2,000 working in higher education, adding Thomas College faculty to that, the union brags it'll continue to expand its support for educators committed to excellence equity, which also means diversity and inclusion, and shared governance in Maine's colleges and universities. Well, in conclusion on this, ladies and gentlemen, we certainly want you to go ahead and make sure that you do your research. So we're going to provide every single one of these websites here. Our organization firm providing you with fact files and the question, are labor unions fair? What do you think? Some examples of the sites for labor unions. We'll read them off, but we'll also post them in our comments section and on YouTube and Twitter, or X. Be careful what you read, folks. It could be very educational for you and our future generations. So what we have right now is the Maine AFL-CIO.org, AmericansForFairTreatment.org, and the site for Maine News Guild is local128.org. So we'll make sure those get posted up there. And as always, folks, we want to leave you with our information. We are firm, Fairness in Reporting Media. Always your host, Mark Merrill. Plus, you can contact us anytime through our email address at fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, and also find all of our podcasts on YouTube and X, formerly known as Twitter, 24 hours a day. Thank you for joining us. Prayers for our people as the vote gets closer in November, folks, on questions 1 and 2. Peace to all.